All right, so here we are. We're doing another video. It's rainy, kind of windy out there, kind of nasty. So we're in the garage. That's my workshop and I got my mechanic stuff there. I got all my stuff for work laid out here. This is the stuff that I use to build tool sheds on a daily basis. So we're gonna start with the tool belt here. The tool belt itself, these pouches that I got, these here, they're Harbor Freight. When I bought them, I think they were $25 a piece, and I looked on their website because obviously I'm home and I'm bored, so I play around on it. And they're under $20 now. They're like $18.99, something like that. And I'll get into it. I'll show you. They're not perfect, but I wear them every day and they work for me. They fit what I need them to fit. The belt itself, you can see that is I used to have, when I was a paramedic in up in Boston area, a lot of people wore like the police style belts, like the well, I'll show it to you. I don't have it right here, but I'll find it for the next video. You can tell I'm not a professional at this. But they'd wear the police style belts, and this belt here is actually it's a weightlifting belt that I bought when I was in college because I thought I was going to be a bodybuilder. I'm not, and I wasn't. But I was young, and I thought I was, and I thought I needed it, but I didn't. I started using this because I wanted a little bit more support than the police style nylon belt that I had. Something that everybody's going to tell you that has ever worn a tool belt: get suspenders. They these are just, their stretch is kind of worn out of them. I've worn them for 2 seasons and they're kind of shot, but they take the load off your waist, which is nice, and it kind of makes it a little bit more comfortable. But anyway, I'm gonna get into what I got in this thing and what I use every day. I'm sure as you're watching this, you all realize this, but none of these people sponsor me or probably even know who I am. So this is stuff that I'm using, and I found that I like it, and I'm happy with it. So I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to go, and I'm going to start with the hammer here. This is a 16-ounce Deluge. It's part of Vaughn. It's metal. Of course it's metal. It's steel, not titanium. I think it costs $25, $30. I bought it when I knew nothing about carpentry because I thought it looked like a stiletto and I thought it looked cool. And I guess it does look cool, but it's a nice hammer. I use it daily. It's nice and light. These claws, I like the straight ones like that. I really like that because you can kind of pierce them into things, and like if there's a 2x4 you need to grab, you can pop it in and pull it over. Like a picaroon, I think they're called. It's a tool that just does that. So this here, a lot of guys on the internet do that, and they say it's for overstrikes, and it's good for an overstrike, like if you hit and you miss. But the main reason I do it is because it's in this metal ring all day long, and it's bouncing around, and it can chip at the wood. And I do like a wooden handle because my elbow and my shoulder were bothering me from using the nail gun. But the other hammer that I use, and I'll show you that, this is the one that I use 90% of the time. That's the hammer that I use at building. We drive everything with air guns anyway, so that's just kind of for moving stuff and tapping stuff and poking stuff along. This is the other hammer that I use. This is actually, I was using a big, heavy 22-ounce Harbor Freight framing hammer when I first got into carpentry that my father gave me, and it was heavy to swing all the time. And maybe I sound like a sissy or a Sally or something, but I don't care. It was just too heavy. I didn't like it. So I was at Lowe's, and my wife was with me, and we got this. And I like it. I use this. This is kind of like I guess you'd say my rough use hammer. Like if I'm doing concrete forming, or if I'm going to be doing something where I'm doing a lot of prying and a lot of hitting, a lot of bending. It's basically a crowbar with a striking face on it, which I like. And again, I keep these claws sharp so I can dig into stuff. You can see the file marks on them. I kind of got to clean that up a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. I like it because it's all metal, and I'm not worried that I'm gonna break it. At the same time, it's a it's a beater hammer. It's something that it's heavy duty. This is my favorite hammer for doing mechanic work too, if you can believe it. It's a nice size, and I like these. See the bend? How that one's actually even a stronger bend than the wooden one there. But these I like that handle. I find the axe handle much more comfortable to use. So a lot of guys have like the S-wing hammers, the all metal S-wing hammers, and those are good, but it just bothers my forearm for some reason, so I don't really like those. But that's the other hammer that I use most frequently. So moving over here, I can't see through the camera. I'm not used to that yet, so pardon me just kind of fumbling around. I like these. It's a Stanley, I think it's called a fast change or an instant change or something. It's big. It's kind of big. But you just push this button and pull. I got to hold the phone, so I can't really show you. But you push this button and you pull that out, and it pops right out. You push this in, and this little thing kind of swings down. And you can keep, I think I've got like a dozen blades in there. It's nice. It's nice to have the extra blades in there. I used to like the ones with the little screw here that you take them apart. I liked them because they were all metal, and I dropped one of these off of a scissor lift once, and it was like something out of a cartoon. It just exploded. But it was a scissor lift. However high up I was in the air, it was in a metal builder, like a prefab building. I was putting insulation in, and it's not going to survive that, but it's not supposed to. It's made of plastic and metal, but it's good. This again, it's just a regular razor blade. I actually keep these are good when it's really cold. You can cut the shingles from behind, like you turn it over to the side that's not the asphalt with the pebbles on it, and you can cut with that. Or a lot of times we'll use tin snips. But I also keep, when I'm doing roofing, and you can kind of see the tar and the asphalt from the shingles, I keep these. I'll keep one of these, but this isn't always in my belt all the time. Something just blew over out there. I'll keep this in there, and this is nice for being able to trim like the sides, like the overhangs off of a gable end, for to make all the shingles line up. So I will keep a hook blade occasionally, and again, it's the exact same knife. I just bought two of them, and they're good. I like them. I guess this little thing here, you can use it kind of like a webbing. I've never done it. Or a seatbelt cutter, those things. I was a paramedic for 12 years. I never used the seatbelt cutter. I had to cut a seatbelt once, and I used my Leatherman to do it, actually. But I actually handed it to a firefighter who was in the car. He said, "I got to cut this," and I gave him the Leatherman, and he used it and cut it. And that's the only time I've ever seen a seatbelt cut in the field. But anyway, moving on, I used to keep a whole bunch of little pencils in here, and I do keep electrical tape. I'm not an electrician, but and I'll do another video on that. I'm not an electrician, but we do a lot of electrical work because my boss is a master electrician. He's a pipe fitter. He used to build gas stations, and I always use this for like if you cut your finger, you wrap a piece of paper towel or a piece of something around it, and then you wrap it in this, and you keep on going. That's a funny story. I was doing, if you're watching this, just please excuse the rambling. I was doing walls. I was doing a bunch of walls in one day. I think my record was I think I did 15 walls before lunch one day, and in the course of that day, you'll understand why it went so fast as the story progresses. I'm going along and I'm going along, and all of a sudden I just felt like everything just kind of slowed down and stopped. And I looked down at this finger, and there was a 16 penny nail sticking through this finger that had shot through. Thank God it missed the bone. You might even be able to see the scar there. It went in here and it popped out here, and it sliced this finger open. And I went over to my boss's son, and we wrapped it up with a bunch of toilet paper to stop the bleeding. And the only tape we had was not that roll, but the roll that I keep in there. And we ended up using that. So anyway, I used to keep a bunch of like really stubby pencils in here. And I do keep a little, I'll keep like a couple of bits that I might need. Anything that I'll throw in there that feels like there's even, what's in there? Weird little nails. Yeah, I'll throw bits, like if I'm going to be using a drill over and over again with a couple of different, like a countersink bit or a paddle bit, like if we're putting in bolts to tie the foundation into the bottom plate, I'll keep a couple of bits in there. Over here, I like to have multiple length carpenter pencils, and I don't really know why I like them different lengths, but just I like to have at least 3, because somebody's always, oh, can I borrow a pencil? Oh, you know, my pencil broke. I'm always losing them. I also like to keep them sharpened on both ends, so that if one end breaks, I can just flip it over without, I don't have to grab another pencil. I don't have to take that knife out and sharpen it. So that's just something I do. Some guys do it, some guys don't. My boss just shoves them in his pocket, and if he can find them, great. If not, he's taking one of those. I like to keep a black Sharpie and a red Sharpie, because we build, like I said, we build tool sheds. So a lot of this is, it's framing, it's sheathing, it's roofing. We're doing flashing, we're doing stuff like that. Drip edge. Sometimes the red Sharpie shows up a little bit better than the black Sharpie, and if you're trying to write on the metal with one of those pencils, if it's wet, it's not going to work too well. Vinyl siding, like if I want to write something on the back of it, like a measurement or something, I'll use one of those and I can just look at it later. I just like having the 2 different colors because they show up a little bit better. I keep, oh wow, I really can't see where I'm reaching. I like these for chalk boxes. They're Stanley Fat Max. This was actually my dad's. He built his tool shed with this and the Harbor Freight framing hammer that I first used. But these are good. They don't leak, which I like. I used to carry an all metal one, like a cheapie that I got at either Walmart or Ace or something, an Irwin one. Oh, and it leaked like a sieve. It was horrible. I mean, nothing against it. It was cheap. I didn't pay that much money for it. I know these are probably like $20, and I tell you what, it's worth it. I'd buy another one. I like it, and for what I'm doing with it, snapping quick lines on like floors and stuff, or on roof plywood, things like that. It's quick, it's nice, it's easy, and I like to have it in there all the time. This is stuff that's in my bags all the time that I'm reaching for and using for. So moving up here, I like a wide chisel, because again, it's framing and sheathing, and this is a good pry bar to get into things. This is a Miller's Falls, and people are going to say, oh, that's it. That's, that it's really, you keep it sharp, and it's not a beater chisel. It's not a beater chisel yet. I had a no-name chisel from, it was from a Walmart 3-pack, and it was this black plastic thing. It was originally this long, but I ground it down so many times that it was like this long. So I said, yeah, I'll just, throw another one in there. And I do like keeping it as sharp as I can, because it's nice to be able to do both. I mean, I'm not afraid to damage it. if I have to, but it's nice to have it sharp. And I can't even tell if that's square, but it does the job for me. Moving along in this setup that I got here, we've got these. These are end nippers, or bullnose pliers. Primarily what I'm using these for is, the nail gun double shot, or, it snaggled that nail and it's all twisted and nasty looking. So I'll grab it, and you can just roll it out without cutting it. Or if you have to cut it off, you can just cut it. You can see, maybe you can't see it. Maybe I can't get it to focus. I've actually beat on these. Like, you get it on a nail and you just, I can't get it. And you start hitting it here, and it'll close it and it'll cut the nail. Like if it's, I'm sure it's not good for the tool, but it was like $8 or $9, and it's got it's a cobalt, and you can see. It's funny, with my tools, you can see where I lived when I bought them, by what stores I was closest to, and when I got into carpentry, I was closest to a Lowe's, so I've got a lot of cobalt tools. But what I did, I took this came with like rubber grips on it, and they actually wore off, and they fell off, and I found I liked it better without them. And there's another guy on YouTube, Luke Simons, but 101 basic, back to the basics 101, and he was an oil field mechanic, and he did this with a pair of his pliers. Just ground like a flathead screwdriver, or like a little chisel into one end. And yeah, you got to be careful when you, like, I always got to make sure that I'm holding it like this, so that the sharp part is not in my palm. But I tell you what, that's really useful. You can get that under a roofing staple that sank a bit too deep. We staple our shingles down. Again, they're tool sheds. You can tell me that's wrong. They don't leak. But if it sinks too much, you can get that under there and kind of wiggle it up, and then you pull it out with that. And it works nice because you don't have to grab another tool. It's faster. And even this little nipper part here, if I've got to trim like a piece of the smart siding, like we make, you got to make spacers to make all the siding match when you're putting trim on. And they don't have to be exact. They don't have to be pretty. And sometimes you just got to nibble an edge off, and that does it nicely.